Well, as you can see, I got another one. This was in the scrap pile, covered in snow, weeds, and it's got a dent there. At least it's got a gauge on it. So, I'm gonna get this thing melted, get all the snow off of it, get cleaned up, and I'm gonna convert this one over too. Alright, just got the cover off. As you can see, there's a lot of cobwebs. It's been sitting quite a while. This motor right here is locked up. So I need to see what's going on back here with the impeller. If that's just locked up, that's good. We can work with that. If the motor's locked up, the unit's pretty much junk because the cost of a motor is way more than this is worth. Now let me get the cover off and see what's going on. Alright, got the screws out. Carefully try not to wreck the gasket if you can. If you do, I mean, there's not much you can do about it, but you give it small little wiggles, it's a good chance you can save it. So that's what I'm doing. Pardon me, trying to do it one-handed. Alright, save the gasket. Gasket looks pretty good. Yeah, my makeshift bench for right now. Alright, let me get these off and I'll show you what's behind here. Alright, so all the bolts are pulled out. Flip this thing up out of the way. This is the rotor. As you can see, there is some crud in there. So I'm going to take this rotor off and see if I can get the motor to spin. These throw out. As you can see how easy they move. They end up throwing out, and when they throw out, they compress back up here, and when they do in the cover, it builds air pressure. The other thing on these covers too is, see how this one's nice and smooth? If they get a little gouged and stuff, you're going to want to sand them down as smooth as you can get them, because air will escape around and won't build pressure. So you want to keep that nice and smooth. Alright, let me get this thing out and see if I can get the motor to spin. Alright, got the screws out. Let's see what's underneath this little package here. Yummy. Pretty sure I don't think that's going to work anymore. It's got water damage and everything. And I had one guy in the comments on my YouTube short tell me that this is not a control board. So, not really sure terminology what you want to call it, but as far as I'm concerned, it controls the unit, so I call it a control board. And he said it's not even a circuit board, but as far as I know, whenever you solder anything onto a board, it has circuits, would be called a circuit board, but who knows. So if my terminology is wrong, I apologize. So bear with me. I'm just trying to show you how I fix these things and what I end up doing with them. So let me get all this out of here and get this all cleaned up so I can chase some wires and see who goes to what, and then go from there. I don't know if you guys can tell, there's like mold and stuff on this board, like right there. Got some water damage. So, can I buy a new one? Yeah, like it's been like 50, 60 bucks on Amazon, and have a bunch of issues and it may not even work. Or just put the primary control on that I normally do and make it work. So, alright, this, trash. Alright, getting opening some more of this stuff up in here. There's that little temperature probe. Doesn't really do anything. Let's see. So what I'm doing is I'm just separating everything so I can get some stuff out of my way. Especially because this one's so dirty. I want to be able to not lose it off the chair here. This motor's heavy. And the grounds to disconnect. Because right here I can take it all apart and clean it. Now that I know the motor spins, I can go a little further into depth with it. Helps me, I put the ground right back where it belongs with the screw. So when I go to put everything back together, I know exactly where it came from. And this pressure hose here. While I'm in here, I'm going to check all these pressure hoses. Make sure they're good. So there's the motor. It's out of the way. So that opens up for where the igniter is, right there. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm probably going to just pull the barrel out, clean all this, pull this off, then I can get in here nice and neat. Kind of want to do this one better than I did the other one. But I don't know if you can see. So here's the 2 coil wires that come up for the electrodes. This is your fuel. This is your pressure line, which becomes vacuum across there. You have these 2 wires here that, let's see if I can wrestle it out. And this one, and then this one connects off the power circuit here. Come on. I'm going to definitely deal with a little bit of corrosion on this thing. It's been sitting outside for quite a while. But that old expression, if it's free, it's for me. So these 2 are, there's a probe in there. Basically, if this unit gets too hot, it'll shut the power down, which is good. So I'll keep this from burning up. I'm going to reincorporate that into it. And then these wires right here, this goes to my CAD cell. So I'm going to end up hooking up the CAD cell back into it. But obviously, as you can tell, different connection. Wires aren't as long as I need. So I got to work with that. So it's a little boring. So let me pull this off real quick. And I'll bring you back and show you the chassis underneath. All right, I got the blast tube out. So I need to clean it. So I'm going to take it apart, clean it, get all the stuff out of it. So I don't have anything funky burning through there. This is the high temp switch. I don't need to move it. It's just going to stay there. And this is for the coils. So yeah, get this out of here. Metal ball right there. Just picked it up in my magnet in here, which tells me that may go to the back of the air cover, because there's a ball and a spring in there, which means somebody's been in here before. Plus, there's been screws messed with and they're not exactly where they are supposed to be. So I'm pretty sure somebody's been in here fooling with it. So I may have to get a new ball and spring set up for it. All right. So what I got here, here's my coil. This literally just sits right in there. There's no attachment for it. So I just gotta wire this up as the coil. That'll go in there. I want to clean it. I want to get all the fuel out of here. It's pretty nasty. This thing has been setting quite a while. So basically, I'm going to strip down. So I'm going to clean it. I'm going to empty the fuel out of it. Get it all dolled up again. And show you how I test these things. And make sure everybody's copacetic and happy. So, all right, let me get this cleaned up here and start going the other direction. All right, so after checking my wiring on the diagram, I come to a conclusion of which wire goes where. So now I'm going to test this to see if it works. If it works, then I can continue with the project. Don't mind these two lines. They're actually not even hooked up right now. I'm going to try to build myself a test plug for this. All right, so let's see if the motor spins. All right, so that is a success. Now I'm going to check the igniter out. All right, so this right here, for me, I don't think either wire matters. Let me, this, you have to be very careful with, because this can hurt you. So I have to be very careful not to electrocute myself. So these on here kind of go on just like old spark plugs. And let me try to zoom in here. You guys see if you see some spark. Let's see what happens. If you hear me scream, it didn't work very well. Okay, so that did not work. Well, let's figure out why. Pretty sure my igniter is bad on this one. So the other igniter I had was bad. I can order one, but this I just updated for somebody on another control. This one's an 05. So I'm gonna hook this up and see if I can get the electrodes to spark. If I can, I may just convert this to go right in there. A quick, easy change out part, and it'll be all set. If it works. If it doesn't, then I'll order one on Amazon for it. But trying to use what I got floating around and see if I can make it work. All right, so I got the igniter taken out from that cover plate. Let's see if it works. Gonna test it. Okay, that works. All right, now let me set up the next thing I gotta do. Okay. So now I have this hooked back up. I put some eyelets on here with the nuts to connect up. So let's see if we get spark this time. Yep. Let me zoom in so you guys can see a little bit better. And here we go. We have spark. Okay. So now what I'm going to end up doing is I have spark, I have the combustion fan working, so I got to clean everything, and then what I'm probably going to do, I'm going to take this plate, trace it out onto the side. Let's see if I can zoom in for you. Like right there, the side of this unit. And I'm just going to bolt the igniter right through it, and the cords will be inside. That way I can basically just use one of these over-the-counter igniters. Pretty easy, pretty quick to get a hold of. I don't have to monkey around with Amazon. I can just walk right into local store and pick up what I need. All right, well, let me clean this all up and start assembling. I don't know how well you can see in there or not, but nice and shiny. I wiped out all the fuel. It was pretty disgusting, had water in it. So that's all cleaned out, nice and clean. This is one step you don't want to skip. It's easier now to get all the fuel out of it and get a fresh start on it. So that's why I decided to do it now. All right, now the assembly. That's all cleaned off. Try to line up all my screws where they're supposed to go. There we go. You gotta make sure I just lightly bump the screws in. People try to fire these things home and they end up stripping out. So That one had a burr on it. Alright, so there's that part. I gotta get the blast tube situated. Without the motor in it, I can do this. If the motor was in it, I wouldn't be able to. Just got the blast tube all taken care of. So, there we go. Alright, and the blast tube just drops right in here. This piece, as the bolts came off, this sits right in there. I can put them on since I don't have the motor here, but I'll take the nozzle out, check it, clean it, and go from there. So I'll show you guys what's inside here in a minute. Alright, let me get this out of the way, and then I'll show you how the nozzle adapter comes apart. Okay, put it in the vise. Just careful, it's aluminum. You don't want to really horse on it. I'll just use a 5/8. Just gotta be careful, like I said, because it's in there. Just realigned. There we go. I want to take a precaution on that because you don't want to break it. So here's your nozzle. And fuel goes in through back here. The air goes in right through here. This nozzle can actually be taken apart. You can unscrew the flute and the nozzle head and then pull it apart. Careful, there's a small piece inside, but you can clean it. But, sorry, I'm off kilter here. Right through there, if you can see daylight through there, which I can, it's usually clean. And in here is actually really clean. Careful when you do it, there is a spring and stuff in here. You want to make sure all that lines back up. So, and then just kind of snug it back up. You want to keep it snug because you don't want the nozzle to have any leak by on it. So that's how I clean my nozzles. Alright, let me start putting some more stuff together. Alright, so I got everything back together in reverse order of how it came apart. Just want to test, make sure everything is good. Motor doesn't hit, air blows through. I don't have my primary controller or any of that hooked up right now. I still gotta mount it and do all that. So let's see. Alright, so all that works. Motor's spinning perfectly fine. So now I just got to keep putting stuff together. Okay, I got the rotor back in there. Alright, so put this back together. I'm going to try it, see if the fan motor turns. Let me turn the phone up a little bit so you can see a little better. There we go. Gonna plug this in and see if it spins. I got air pressure coming out of there, so we're doing good. Alright, keep putting it together. So what I just noticed, this is where the gauge goes. This is supposed to have an adjuster, a spring, and a ball. That ball I found floating around in there, well, it came out of there. So I'm missing the plug and the spring. So that I'm going to have to get from Amazon. Get that up. And put this on here. Finish putting it together. Wire up the other stuff. And If everything worked right, it should run. So I put the air filter in, I put the gauge in. And in theory, if I plug this and this back here, the air goes there, this gauge should move. If that moves, then I know that my rotor is good and producing pressure. So then what I'll end up doing is just got to get this one part. So let me zoom in so you guys can watch that gauge right there. And you should see it spike up once I plug those two ports. So here we go. Okay, so we know the rotor's good. We know it's gonna push pressure up to there. So once I get the adjuster in here, I gotta look for the model number online to find out what this is supposed to be at. I was told it was somewhere around 7, but kind of want to make sure. And then I just got to put on the primary control on that side, and on the other side I'm going to try to put the igniter. So I might keep moving at this. Actually, a handy little note. If you look right there, it tells me what the pump pressure is supposed to be. It's kind of nice. I don't have to look online. I just had to look on this tag. So I have to see if my other one has pump pressure on it, because I know I had to look it up online. I didn't even think to look there. Okay, so in my last video, somebody got a little confused on the wiring. So I'm going to explain how I ended up doing it. So here's, sorry about the focus. Here's the CAD cell, my finger's touching it. So the CAD cell I brought over here. I cut the little plug end off, and I wired the 2 yellow CAD wire jumpers to it. Then the white wire, which comes from my power source, aka the plug, I had to lengthen it and bring it over here. So on my motor, I found out the red wire was the neutral. So I just took and hooked the red wire, the white wire to this white wire, and added it as a jumper to bring it over here. The orange wire off the motor was actually the orange wire for the jumper for the motor. And then there's a, hard to see in there, a high temp switch that comes off the rocker switch. So the power goes into the rocker switch, comes out of it, goes at a high temp. High temp says, hey, we can run. Power comes back, comes on the yellow one. And since I'm using L1 and the limit, I just wired them together. Again, everything will match the color coding that I have to do here. The igniter was shot, obviously, so I changed it. These are loose. I'm going to tighten them up before I put them in. But I took and drilled out the holes and mounted the igniter here. And these, if you touch them, they'd be hot, but the way they're in here, they won't arc or anything. They got more clearance than they do in a oil burner motor. And then also have the hole there. I'm going to slip a bushing in there, and then that is where my wires will go through for the primary control. So let me get this all hooked up, and then I'll show you the layout of what I got. Okay, so what I did is everything's hooked up now. So did my CAD cells, my L2, which is neutrals, and my limit, and my L1, and the orange for my motor, and blue for the igniter. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole through here and bring a thermostat wire to connect in there and connect the thermostat on the other side. Then finish putting it together, and we'll see if this thing runs. So my Mr. Heater part showed up. The ball, the spring, and the plug, and the adjuster. 17 bucks. That's all I got into this thing. So I'm going to put this in real quick, adjust the air pressure, and we're going to see if this runs. Alright guys, so Frankenstein heater is completely put together. What I did is I tried to put this unit together with used parts I had floating around and parts that I could buy over the counter at the local supply house like Granite Group, FW Web, any building like that. So this thermostat I got, customer didn't like it, wanted to change theirs out, so I got that one. The igniter and the primary controls off a burner that we changed the boiler out on. This thing's an 05. Looks pretty good. And I got the new plug in there for the air pressure. And so let's see if this thing's gonna run. Let me know what you guys think in the comments too, if you like the Frankenstein build or not. I just wanted to prove, if you use your brain, you can pretty much figure anything out. All right, so thermostat's on. Well, I guess that's the best $17 I spent. This is a success. If you guys want, leave some comments in there. Let me know what you think. Would you have built it this way? How would you have done it? I appreciate you guys stopping by, and hope you guys check out some more of my videos. Thank you guys. Have a good day.